Hello to you all. Happy to be here in sunny Florida. First time I'm giving a presentation after a very long time. I'm the CEO of PainReform, a public traded company at NASDAQ. So we do have to go over the forward-looking statements. And I will present the team. I was lucky to assemble a great group of people helping me managing the company on a day-to-day basis. Some information regarding myself. I was the former CEO, former country manager and CFO of pharmaceuticals before I joined PainReform. And over there I was again lucky to launch successfully 2 drugs in the US. So the whole team, successful and experienced people with launching drugs in the US and of course in Israel. What is PainReform? So the post-operative pain is a growing market, a huge market, a growing market, but there still is an issue because today, as we all know, there is issue with opiates and opioids. Post-operative treatment is really based on giving opioids to the patients, and that leading to dependency. And there is a need to new kind of drugs that will give post-operation pain relief without any dependency on those drugs. So PainReform came with a new novel formulation for extended release of ropivacaine. That's a known drug for a long time. And we show efficacy in a phase 2 done in Israel. We have great safety record. And we plan to initiate our phase 3 here in the US later this year, and I will discuss this later in the presentation. Of course, our products are well protected with patents going until 2023, and we have the go-ahead from the FDA to initiate the phase 3. The company is operating from Israel, where we have our offices, and the team that I have, we have all the know-how required to initiate the trial, to manufacture the drug, and of course taking care of other necessary things of when developing a drug. So the post-operative pain is a huge market in the US. Currently approximately $12 billion, will reach $16 billion, and worldwide is $45 billion. We intend not only to sell in the US, we would like also to launch our drugs in Europe and other countries as well. There is a significant unmet need for long-acting pain relief drugs because, as I mentioned today, usually opioids are being used for that purpose, and opioids has many side effects as I will discuss. Just 10% of the market will give a company over $500 million in revenue, and we have one company that is doing that. That's Pacira with Exparel, and I can discuss that as well. We are in a growing market. There are treatments for pain, but there is a need for new drugs out there. So the current approaches for post-operative pain is, and we all know what we call the NSAID, the aspirin, the Advils of the world that are being administered for treating, I would say, light to mild pain. And post-operative, usually we will be using opioids. We have the short-acting and long-acting opioids. But the issue with opioids is that they have poor efficacy in acute pain control, and they really were not intended for use to be used with pain and control, but there is nothing else to be administered these days. So we have two companies that came with drugs. We have one is Pacira with Exparel. That drug was launched back in 2012, 2013. It gives pain relief up to 24 hours, not up to 72 hours. That's what we are trying to do. And last July, July 2021, we have Heron came out with Zynrelef. That's a drug. It's a complex drug that was developed for many years, had some safety issues, but that drug they are claiming is with efficacy up to 72 hours. The issue with that drug that it has a black box in the label, and we can see that revenue is not really picking up as expected for now, but it is an interesting drug, and we are following how it's doing in the market. So today, when we go to surgery, we can expect that we will be prescribed with opioids if we have any pain. That's the normal course of treatment. And there is a dramatic increase in the use of opioids, and we all heard about famous people that had issue with opioids and used opioids, and some, of course, died. And when we are using opioids, we can really start getting hooked after 3 days. And 1 of 4 patients will really have an issue getting off that treatment and may continue using it and abusing it. And that will lead to a huge burden over the US health system and other health systems in the world, of course. And we all know those common drugs that are really easy to get a prescription of. We all know the OxyContin and the Vicodin that we can get. We can go to our physician and get if we are suffering from pain. And that's an issue. And if you take them and you have an issue stopping using them, you will get addicted. And in 2016 and also in 2019, approximately 11.5 million Americans reported that they are misusing, that they are really abusing opioids drug. That's what PainReform is trying to change, to bring a drug that will help fighting pain, but will not have those side effects. So the states of the opioid crisis in the US, as I mentioned, almost all of patients going into a surgical procedure will use opioids. We have, as I mentioned, 11.5 million that are using those. Between 6 and 10% will have an issue and will continue using and abusing opioids. And the damage to the US health system is being measured as $80 billion a year because of the opioid crisis in the US. And you have some more information, as you can see over in the slide. So PainReform has developed a drug. The formulation was developed more than 10 years ago, and the company was working on bringing it to the market. Performing a phase 2 in Israel, and I will give the data of that phase 2 soon. And we know that we have a drug that can give pain relief up to 72 hours. It will be instilled in the incision during operation before the incision will be closed, so it will be instilled in the cut, then it will be closed, and it will work in the wound up to 72 hours, releasing the ropivacaine and giving pain relief. That's the theory and how it works. We conducted extensive safety studies in Israel as well, and we showed that it has no effect on the wound or the healing of the wound, and we are only using materials that are considered GWAS by the FDA. That's generally recognized as safe. So we think that we have better formulation than what is out there, a better drug, a drug that can give relief up to 72 hours, and of course we hope that we will be able to demonstrate it during the coming trial later this year. So right now, as we speak, we are manufacturing PRF-110 here in the US. When I joined the company over a year ago, it was manufactured in Israel, and I decided to move it to the US. So we took Pharmaceutical International Inc. From Maryland, a company that has a lot of years experience in sterile manufacturing. They are running the batches, and if all goes well, before mid-year this year, we will run the clinical batches, we will manufacture the clinical batches, and we will initiate the trial. Just to mention that we do have low COGS when manufacturing the drug. I don't think that manufacturing will be that expensive. And as I mentioned, I'm expecting to manufacture before mid-year. So if we look at the timeline, what the company did until now. So as I said, phase 2 was done in Israel, a positive phase 2, and you can see it in the historical data. The company approached the FDA. The FDA gave the go-ahead to move into a phase 3. And I joined the company over a year ago, and I took over, and from then I'm busy manufacturing the drug for the clinical trials. And as I said, it's being manufactured as we speak. And when done, we will initiate our phase 3 trial. The phase 3 trial will be done here in the US. We have selected our CRO already. It's Lotus from California. They are waiting for the drug to initiate the trial. And initially, we will do 2 phase 3 trials, one in bunionectomy. That's the hard tissue that we need to do. And then we will do another one in hernia, open hernia. That will be the soft tissue. And also in the meanwhile, we will have some discussions with the FDA how we proceed to get a marketing approval. The trial is quite short. The monitoring period during the trial is only 72 hours. That's the time that we need to monitor the patients following the surgery. So I expect that we will be able to get all the patients and come with the readout probably 9 months after first patient in. It shouldn't take that long. And if all goes well, we can expect to file the NDA towards the end of 24, going maybe into 2025. Some differentiation between us and the competition. As I said, there are 2 products out there. We have Exparel by Pacira that was launched over 10 years ago. That drug is doing over $500 million annually. That's what they reported for last year. It's being used out there. It's a watery product. Many injections are being administered just post-operation around the incision to give the pain relief. And then, as I said, it's up to 24 hours pain relief, and then you have to go to other drugs if you're still suffering from pain. So Heron came with Zinrelef. That's a complex product, synthetic product that they developed for many, many years. They had many safety issues developing it. And initially, they were able to launch it, but they got a black box in the label because one of the API that they are using. And they announced already the growth and numbers, and they're not doing that great in the market. And we are still looking to see how they will do. And I believe that PRF-110 can be the third in line to come out for pain relief treatment. And in the presentation, I'll also give the names of other competition that we are aware of and other products that are out there in the market. So safety. Safety it's the most important thing in such a drug because you put it into the incision before you suture it up. And of course, you don't want it to interfere with the healing process or to cause any scarring of the wounds. And that's something that, of course, the FDA asked us to do. And we put a lot of work testing it and showing that it allows normal wound healing during operations. It will not affect the tensile strength if put into the incision. And the healing process will be normal. And of course, our drug is not going into the systemic system, so there are no any side effects expected using our drug. Here I show the outcome of the phase 2, as I said, that was done in Israel. The purple line is the 15 patients that took part in the trial. And the green line, that's historical data from other trials that were done in pain. And you can see the gap between the lines. And on that data, we went to the FDA, and we got the go-ahead to move into phase 3. PRF was tolerable with no any side effects. The physicians that used it said it's very easy to use. It's a viscous, honey-like solution that you take and you instill into the wound. You smear it into the wound. You put it into the wound, and then you close the wound over it. So it's really easy to handle. When you put it somewhere, it will stay there. It's not like water that it will move all around. You put it in the wound, it will stay there, and then you close it, and that will give the treatment, and from there will be a long release of the API into the wound. So the next stage, initial, most important stage for the company is to move into the phase 3 clinical trial. That will be, of course, 2 double-blind, placebo-controlled, 72 hours treatment period. We will do a 2-to-1 ratio. We will have PRFX 160 patients, naropin, that's ropivacaine, also 160 patients, and placebo 80 patients. Why we are doing an arm of ropivacaine? Because we want to show the extended release against the generic drug that is out there. So the primary endpoint will be, of course, to show against the placebo, that the drug is working against the placebo. The secondary endpoints will be to show the extended release and also to show that the use of opioids is decreased with the patients that are taking part in the study. I think that's one of the most important things for us, also marketing-wise. And of course, we will have to show safety, that there are no side effects. Of course, it's a usual thing to do in a clinical trial. So with that, I can end my presentation. We believe that we have an effective drug, safe drug, easy to administrate. Physicians like the drug, they like to handle it. And as I mentioned before, I think it will be not that expensive to manufacture, and we will be able to compete with the existing drugs these days in the market. So I will stop here, I think right on time. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take any. Yes, please.
What other procedures do you hope to apply to the future?
We are aiming to what the FDA calls the general pain indication, to all. That's what Pacira got back in 2012. Heron did not get it. After the initial trial with bunionectin, we will have to go and discuss with the FDA how can we reach that indication. Probably they will ask us to do some more models, but that's what we want to do, and we highly believe that that drug can be used in all kind of operation. We don't have to limit it to any specific.
And then also, is there any opportunity to extend the pain relief period past the metabolic, or is that just with natural breakdown?
That's exactly what you said. That's the natural break of the substance. In the phase 2 trial, it was up to 72 hours, so we cannot claim any more now. Yeah, we are working on some other products in the pipeline, but it's again too early to announce anything. Any other questions? Yes, please.
What's your capital strategy going into the phase 3?
So the company is well financed now. We do have enough cash to initiate the phase 3 and to move well into the phase 3. But before we will announce the top line data, I will have to raise some more cash for the company. So probably towards around mid-2023, the company will have to seek some more cash to finalize the trial. Okay, thank you very much for coming today. My pleasure.